Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of Wicked Whispers, where the shadows come alive and nightmares whisper their secrets. The South Shields Poltergeist case is one of the most compelling and terrifying hauntings in recent history. Taking place in a quiet suburban home in South Shields, England, this case captivated paranormal enthusiasts and researchers alike. The story centers around a young family, often referred to as Mark and Marianne, who experienced an intense and frightening series of events starting in December 2005. This detailed account covers the incidents that unfolded over several months, making it one of the most documented poltergeist cases to date. The initial encounter. Mark and Marianne lived a peaceful life with their 3-year-old son, Robert. In December 2005, their tranquility was shattered when they began experiencing strange and unsettling phenomena. It started with seemingly harmless events, doors opening and closing by themselves, objects being misplaced, and cold drafts in certain parts of the house. However, these occurrences quickly escalated. One night, the family was awakened by loud banging noises echoing through the house. Mark, initially skeptical of anything supernatural, assumed it was a prank or perhaps an animal. However, as the noises grew more frequent and intense, he began to suspect something more sinister. One of the most disturbing aspects of the South Shields poltergeist was its manipulation of Robert's toys. The toys would move on their own, often arranging themselves in menacing formations. Mark and Marianne would find toy animals positioned in a circle, staring ominously at the couple's bed, or Robert's stuffed bear placed in various parts of the house with no explanation. The poltergeist's activity seemed to be intelligent and deliberate. At times, it would write threatening messages using Robert's magnetic letters on the refrigerator. Phrases like, "You're dead," and "Get out," would appear, sending chills down the spines of Mark and Marianne. As the haunting continued, the poltergeist's behavior became increasingly aggressive. Objects were not just moved but thrown across rooms with great force. Mark and Marianne experienced physical attacks, such as being slapped, scratched, and even pushed. The scratches left painful, visible marks, often in patterns that seemed to mock or threaten them. One of the most terrifying incidents occurred when Mark was pinned to the bed by an unseen force. He felt an intense pressure on his chest, making it difficult to breathe. Marianne could only watch in horror as she saw the bed sheets being pulled tightly around him, leaving no doubt that an invisible entity was at work. The investigators arrive. Desperate for help, Mark and Marianne contacted paranormal investigators Mike Hollowell and Darren Ritson. The investigators were initially skeptical, having encountered many false claims in their careers. However, upon visiting the home, they quickly realized this case was different. The activity was not only genuine but also highly aggressive and intelligent. During their investigations, Hollowell and Ritson witnessed numerous paranormal events firsthand. They saw objects levitating, heard disembodied voices, and experienced cold spots. The investigators meticulously documented every incident, amassing a significant body of evidence that would later be published in their book, The South Shields Poltergeist: One Family's Fight Against an Invisible Intruder. One of the most iconic and disturbing elements of the South Shields poltergeist was its use of a toy puppet. This puppet, which belonged to Robert, became a tool of torment for the family. It would appear in different parts of the house, often with threatening notes attached to it. The puppet seemed to take on a life of its own, its eyes appearing to follow family members around the room. The puppet's presence was particularly terrifying for Robert, who began to fear sleeping in his own room. Mark and Marianne also found the puppet's movements and the messages attached to it deeply unsettling. The poltergeist seemed to enjoy using the puppet to instill fear and assert its dominance over the household. The relentless activity took a severe psychological toll on Mark, Marianne, and Robert. They began to suffer from sleep deprivation, anxiety, and a constant sense of dread. Marianne, in particular, experienced significant stress, often breaking down in tears from the sheer terror of the situation. The poltergeist seemed to feed off their fear, growing stronger and more aggressive as their anxiety increased. Robert, though young, was deeply affected by the haunting. He became withdrawn and fearful, often clinging to his parents and refusing to be alone. The family's once happy home had become a place of nightmares, with every corner holding the potential for a new terror. The haunting reached its terrifying climax one night when Mark and Marianne were subjected to a sustained and violent assault. They were in their bedroom when they heard the familiar loud bangs and crashes. Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped dramatically, and a foul smell permeated the air. The couple was then bombarded by objects being thrown at them from all directions. Books, toys, and even pieces of furniture were hurled across the room with incredible force. Mark and Marianne tried to take cover, but the poltergeist seemed intent on causing as much chaos and fear as possible. As the attack continued, the couple saw shadowy figures moving in the room. They heard growling noises and felt an overwhelming sense of malevolence. Just when it seemed the terror would never end, the activity abruptly ceased, leaving Mark and Marianne shaken and traumatized. The South Shields Poltergeist case eventually drew to a close, though not with the resolution the family had hoped for. The activity gradually diminished over time, but it never completely disappeared. Mark, Marianne, and Robert eventually moved out of the house, seeking a fresh start away from the haunting memories. Mike Hollowell and Darren Ritson's investigation provided a wealth of evidence, but the true nature of the poltergeist remained a mystery. The case raised many questions about the nature of poltergeist activity, its causes, and its effects on those it targets. To this day, the South Shields Poltergeist is remembered as one of the most intense and well-documented hauntings in paranormal history. The story of the South Shields Poltergeist is a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that can invade our lives. It is a tale of terror, resilience, and the enduring mystery of the supernatural. For Mark, Marianne, and Robert, the haunting was a life-altering experience that left them with scars both physical and emotional. For the rest of us, it serves as a haunting tale that continues to captivate and terrify, reminding us that sometimes, the most ordinary places can become the epicenter of extraordinary and inexplicable events.